Alright, so last time we did this, we read chapter 4. If you need a recap, then I'll give you one right here. And if you didn't watch it, you need to watch it before you do this so you don't get spoiled. Anyways, the recap is they went on this mountain and Ethan pointed out stars, like constellations, naming them weird things, deciding whether they were like a dragon or a rabbit with wings, stuff like that. And then Fern finally decided to be calm and she didn't yell for once and they kind of just sat there peacefully. But yeah, that was my recap anyways. If you want to hear it better, I recommend putting it in 1.25 speed. I feel like I've been talking faster each of these like episode things, each of these videos, but I don't know. So we're gonna start chapter 5 because we did the first 4 chapters, which are pretty short. They only took about 7 minutes to read, but that's plus editing. And if you're questioning what I mean by editing, I mean taking small chunks and then showing it one by one, because at one point the text will run out and I need to get to the next section, so it'll just appear. I recommend putting on captions because captions will help explain what I'm saying, because once again, sections move because it'll run out at one point and I need to move it to a new section, so you might get lost somewhere the text is. It'll most likely appear somewhere at the top where I'm reading. When it transitions to like a new spot, it'll most likely be at the top, or like starting from the top. And so like captions would still help though. Anyways, chapter 4. No, not chapter 4. We did chapter 4, did we? Yeah, we did. We're doing chapter 5. I'm sorry if I've been calling it 4 this whole time. I meant 5. If I said 5, then I have the memory of a goldfish. You cannot rely on me to memorize anything except chapter 4, apparently. Anyways, chapter 5, we're going to jump right into it. This has been 2 minutes long, almost 3 minutes long of me just doing a recap and yapping, so I'm just going to get started. Chapter 5. The night had deepened into a quiet so thick it pressed against my ears, the stars overhead sharp and glittering, like tiny mirrors I can't quite touch. It was past 1 in the morning when we finally decided to head down the mountain. Pip had shifted in his basket, murmuring softly, and I tucked the blanket closer, keeping him warm. Ethan groaned immediately. "My legs hate me so much," he said, rubbing his calves. We've only been at the top for hours, and my legs are already planning a rebellion." "Then keep walking," I muttered, boots crunching on loose rocks. "They'll get over it." "Over it?" he asked, mock indignation in his tone. "We've got 2 feet each, and apparently we're still not prepared for this trek. Terrible planning on your part." I glared, but I let him whine. He kept his pace, and somehow I didn't want to push him away this time. The path down was steeper than I remembered, and the dark made everything unfamiliar, shadows stretching like long fingers across the rocks. I moved carefully, eyes scanning every step. The wind rustled through the trees, carrying the scent of pine and wet earth. "Fernlick," Ethan said after a while, voice soft now. "You're surprisingly quiet for someone who yells at me constantly." I didn't respond. Silence suited me. Silence let me focus. The path narrowed, and my boot caught on a loose stone. My heart jumped. I slipped. Time stretched, and I couldn't stop my hands from reaching for anything solid. There was a flash of panic, a scream caught in my throat, and then strong, warm, Ethan's hand shot out. His fingers closed around mine, firm and steady, pulling me back onto solid ground. The sudden contact made me freeze, my pulse thrumming in my ears. "Careful," he said, almost embarrassed. You're alive. You're safe now." I exhaled shakily, gripping the edge of the rock for balance. Pip stirred but didn't wake. I looked at Ethan, and the moonlight caught his dark hair and the serious set of his face, and my chest fluttered in a way I hated to admit. My hand still tingled where his had gripped mine. He He let go almost immediately, stepping back as if afraid I might explode or vanish. I could feel my cheeks burning. I didn't fall, I said quickly, trying to reclaim some composure. I was fine. Yeah, sure, he said, smirking, though I could tell he was just as aware of the moment as I was. Totally fine. Absolutely not a death-defying slip. No drama at all. I ignored him, keeping my eyes on the rocky path, but I could feel the awkward weight between us. His hand, the warmth, the strength, it lingered. My pulse didn't slow. Every step down the mountain felt longer, more deliberate. But because I couldn't stop replaying the instant our fingers had touched, and it didn't tease. He stayed quiet, letting me lead, letting me process the rush of fear and the blush that refused to fade. By the time we reached the flatter path near the tree line, I finally allowed myself to glance at him. Ethan looked tired, legs sprawled slightly as he caught his breath, but his dark eyes held that faint light of amusement he always carried. He caught my gaze and grinned, a little sheepish now, like he hadn't meant to invade my space so thoroughly. You're alive, he said again, voice low, and you're still mad at me. That's impressive. I let a small reluctant laugh escape. You're lucky, I said softly, meaning it. If you dropped me, you wouldn't have lived this long either. He chuckled, shaking his head. Yeah, lesson learned. Don't let Fern look near a cliff without me holding her hand. My stomach flipped, and I turned away, forcing my cheeks to cool in the night air. We kept walking, slower now, careful steps down the mountain. The tension eased, the awkwardness settling into something quieter, more comfortable. The stars above us stretched endlessly, and for the first time since the bell entered life, I didn't think about losing anything. Not yet. I only thought about the warmth that lingered in my hand, the absurd comfort of knowing someone like Ethan, annoying, ridiculous, persistent, was there, and that for one moment I could feel safe without fighting him off. Maybe some people were worth letting in, even if you never agreed to it. Okay, that was kind of wholesome. Yes, I'm calling my own book wholesome. Okay. I liked making that chapter, but I also cringed during it because it's I don't know. I cringed, but it's also kind of wholesome because he literally saved her life, and I'm gonna stop yapping, and bye-bye.